The excitement was all over the news last week with the successful first launch of Virgin Galactic's Unity spaceship to the edge of space. As a long-time lover of anything outer space or solar system astronomy wise, I had a tinge of excitement myself, but with a little more thought, I came back to Earth quite heavily in almost a feeling of sad depression. The problem I see is that these projects that consume billions of dollars are basically just providing joy rides to the edge of space for the ultra rich. If this money could have been spent towards trying to reduce the impacts of climate change, just think what value that could have provided. Now these billionaires that spend these dollars have the right to spend it on what they want, but at what cost to the rest of society? Yes, they'll be fulfilling a niche for a few of the ultra rich, but what price do the rest of us pay, and our future generations of our kids and grandkids, as the Earth slides ever deeper into the worsening tragedy that is climate change? We still have projects or experiments like this that go on and continue to use huge amounts of Earth resources, while the fuels propelling these spaceships and rockets have become cleaner. There's still lots of atmospheric gases that are added with each launch, lots of carbon particulate matter that has high residence times up in the upper atmosphere that will act like a greenhouse effect, amplifying it even more. And the plan, I'm assuming, I'm pretty sure, is for these companies to be launching hundreds of these a year. So what impact is that going to have on climate change? I would think a fairly negative, significant impact. And for what reason? To provide a tourist activity for the ultra rich. It's a very narrow sector of society that are going to be taking advantage of this, and the impacts will be felt throughout the rest of society. I just keep thinking, if only we could put that money, that collective money, and when I talk about that, I'm not only talking about the monies to develop these projects, but if you think about the monies that all countries of the world are spending on exploration of outer space. And again, I'm very keen on learning about outer space, but at some point we have to hit reality and come back to Earth when we're facing such a negative, severe challenge here on the only planet we can live on. I mean, we can spend billions thinking about going to Mars and all this stuff to live, but in reality, this is the only place we've got. No one's ever going to live happily for a long time on Mars. We shouldn't be fooled by that proposition. Yes, it'd be fun to go there and experiment and explore, but in reality, that's not going to be our lifeboat. This is our lifeboat. It's got some holes in it right now, and we're starting to sink. But we need to patch those holes quickly. And by spending money elsewhere, and I'm not saying that these are the main projects that are wasting money. There's tons of money wasted, not only by governments, but private individuals and other organizations every year on things that are far less important than climate change and some of the other environmental disasters we're facing right now. So that's the purpose of this video, is just to express my thoughts and concerns and frustrations with our continued slow reaction to develop strategies to apply to fixing or helping climate change. Sure, I'd like to fly to the edge of space too, just as much as anybody, but right now, if I had $1 billion, I wouldn't do that, because I would see that as going against the activities we need to take to battle these major issues. As I see it, and climate change has often been compared to the Titanic, heading towards an iceberg. If we choose at the last second to alter course, we're not going to be able to move the Titanic out of the way of the iceberg fast enough to avoid it. But if we can start making these changes with enough time to spare, say a few minutes away from the iceberg, we probably can avoid it. So in a very similar way, here on Earth, we're on this collision course with various environmental catastrophes, climate change being certainly the big one, I would say. And if we can't resolve it quickly enough, we're all in a world of hurt, I guess, as they would say, because a lot of environmental parameters only take mild swings in one direction or the other to cause large swings down the line. So a few degrees in temperature shift could cause enough temperature swing in the oceans to kill off oxygen producing phytoplankton, for example, that provide the world with much of its oxygen. A few swings in temperature can result, and we're seeing this now, in larger areas of formerly arable land becoming or developing into non-arable land. So the farmers of the world now who are stretched and intensively farming every square inch to produce food for the world, those farmers will be unable to produce the amount of food required because large acreages of land will become non-arable. They will become too arid to grow plants. And with the drying up of lakes and rivers, where are you going to get your irrigation from? And with less vegetation growing on farms, there won't be the feed needed to supply animals that we rear on farms either. So we're going to be messed up in a big way with food shortages. And I think a far better way to deal with it is to try and fix the problem now. And we're still going to have tremendous impacts, I feel, because we've waited so long. We've known about this issue for decades, and not a whole lot has been done collectively about it. So I think we're in a serious situation, but that doesn't mean we should throw up our hands and just do any activity that we think is fun or whatever. I think we have to just get serious. Anyhow, that's my take on the subject. You may feel totally opposite. I think we should go out in a flaming glory as a species, enjoying ourselves to the last minute. I like to think we've got a few more smarts than that, and trying to ensure that our world remains for our kids and their kids, because we probably have the ability to do it. It's just a matter, and I certainly don't have the answers, because it's a big issue, the way the whole world is unorganized, and even countries within themselves can't agree on minor issues. So how do you get people to collectively act on something like this? Unfortunately, I think it may come down to catastrophic events. We don't seem able to coordinate. A few thoughts from the hiking trail.